Hello delegates, my name is Walter Barberis, and this is Telemundo, your only source for news. We're following breaking news out of Washington. Palace intrigue continues at the White House, as at least 4 countries have conspired to influence President Trump's senior advisor and son-in-law, Jared Kushner. For more on this breaking news story, we turn to Telemundo's foreign correspondent, live outside the White House. What's the current situation?
Well, Walter, the saga surrounding Kushner continues to spiral out of control. Just days after having his interim top-secret security clearance revoked by White House Chief of Staff John Kelly, Telemundo can now report that a minimum of 4 countries intended to use the first son-in-law's inexperience, debts, and complex business dealings to shape the senior policy advisor's stances on issues and manipulate the Trump administration.
Is there any word on which countries were involved?
Yes, there is, Walter. It appears officials in China, Israel, Mexico, and the United Arab Emirates all had separate meetings with their respective governments regarding advantages over the former CEO of Kushner companies. But given the actual size and reach of Kushner's international business dealings, one can only be certain that they were not the only ones. I had a chance to speak to a senior Mexican government official who offered to provide a statement on the condition of anonymity.
Como cualquier país, tenemos que tomar las ventajas que veamos. Si tienes un burro, aunque sea un burro listo, aún así lo azotas para cargar cosas y viajar en él.
Thanks. Moving across the Atlantic to Brussels, where the European Union could be entering its biggest crisis since Brexit. Recent reforms in Poland have pushed the government below what the European Union would deem as acceptable standards of an independent judiciary. 13 laws passed over the last 2 years have politicized the courts. The member nations are deciding to invoke the previously unused first clause of Article 7, widely considered the nuclear option, which could see Poland's voting rights at the EU suspended. Member nations need 22 of 28 votes in order to issue an official warning, and while a strong majority are in favor, there are elements within the Union appealing to Poland's political and national sovereignty, with Hungary being the loudest. From Poland to Germany, where opposition to Chancellor Angela Merkel's government has led to startling revelations regarding arms sales. Leftist leader Stefan Liebig forced the government to reveal who they are selling weapons to, only to reveal that Germany has quadrupled its exports to Saudi Arabia and Qatar, 2 countries deeply involved with the carnage taking place in Yemen and elsewhere. Fearing a weakening German coalition government, Merkel's government has suspended sales of arms to all parties involved in the Yemeni civil war, attempting to thwart attacks from across the political spectrum. Still, Liebig called on the nations in the Saudi-led coalition in Yemen to answer for the thousands of dead since 2015. He called Berlin's decision to arm the rebels reprehensible and continues to challenge the moral aptitude of Merkel's government. And finally this morning, let's turn to Moscow, where Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a host of postmodern superweapons at his annual State of the Nation address. I want to go to Svetlana Abramov, Telemundo's senior Russian analyst. You worked at the department for 30 years on the Russian desk. What should we make of all this?
As you know, Walter, President Putin has an election coming up which he's most certainly going to win. According to insiders, he seeks to gain at least 70% of the vote, giving him the type of mandate that this strong man has grown accustomed to. Promising a return to Russian greatness with grandiose shows of bravado, especially against the United States, have served him well in previous elections. This is just another chapter in his playbook.
And what type of weapons did he describe?
Well, he described several. The most significant of which were a nuclear-powered long-range underwater drone and a hypersonic long-range ballistic missile capable of traveling 20 times faster than the speed of sound. Both were said to be so advanced they could skip past the United States and European sea and air defenses.
Are they something for rivals to fear, or is it all smoke and mirrors?
It's difficult to say. Actually, the Russian leader used computer imagery to simulate the different weapons he was describing, some of which appeared quite capable. It is likely that there were at least some exaggerations made, but with Russian defense spending shrouded in secrecy, it would be difficult to rule out anything.
Do you think this changes the political landscape between Russia and the West?
Absolutely. Anytime a Russian president talks of bypassing the American and European air defenses with new and improved weapons, you can expect anything from words to exercises from his adversaries. Syria complicates the problem a bit. Putin has placed Russia's own blood and toil into protecting the Assad regime, regularly launching airstrikes on Saudi-backed rebels, killing scores of them, often with American units not more than a few kilometers away.
And what of the close proximity between Russia and American forces in an active war zone? Do these mega weapons have bearing on the tenuous lines of communications between them?
So it's unlikely that will be the case in the short term. But with the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey all somewhat involved in the war and insisting Assad must go before there can be peace, Russia points to the fact that together with Iran, they have put the Syrian government at a serious advantage on what is a very exhausted battlefield. Both sides seem unwilling to back down, and it's difficult to see how the announcement of these new weapons won't be viewed by a threat by at least one of these parties.
Thanks, Svetlana. I really appreciate the valuable insight you can provide us. And thank you for inviting us into your home. We'll keep you posted on any major developments. Keep watching Telemundo, your only source for news.